Hello and welcome to this video. We have got to talk about New Jersey Transit. Unfortunately, New Jersey Transit has proposed a 15% fare hike. That's right, a 15% fare hike, which is unbelievable. This just came out today, and I'm going to say it right off the bat. I'm very disappointed in Governor Phil Murphy, who I've been a big supporter of. But, if he allows this to happen and doesn't fix this, I don't think I can support him ever again. All right? It's his last term. Now he's going to try to take the easy way out and not do anything about this. So let's get to the article here. I'm going to get right to the article here. It says NJ Transit plans to raise fares 15% on July 1st with more hikes to come. So if you think the MTA did was bad, well, this is going to be even worse. NJ Transit said on Wednesday it plans to raise fares statewide for its bus and train services by 15% starting July 1st, the transit agency's first proposed fare hike in 9 years. NJ Transit also said it plans to hike the price of rides annually by 3% starting in 2025. So if you think the MTA raising fares 4% every 2 years or 3 years is bad, well, this is even worse. And you got to remember, 15% in 9 years is pretty much what the MTA raised our fares. All right, so NJ Transit will be no better than the MTA, perhaps even worse. So as of July, a one-way train ride from Princeton Junction to Penn Station in New York will go up $2.40 from $16 to $18.40. A one-way bus ride from Toms River to the Port Authority in New York would rise $3.15 from $21.25 to $24.40. That's a lot of money. That's the full fare. I look like I can pay half fare. The one-way fare for New York Light Rail would increase from $160 to $180. The proposed increase comes as NJ Transit faces a nearly $1 billion budget deficit in the coming fiscal years. Last year, the state-owned agency projected its budget shortfall would reach $119 million for the fiscal year beginning this July. The shortfall could increase to $917 million in the fiscal year beginning in July 2025 and $957 million the following year, according to NJ Transit's four-year budget forecast. The agency said ridership is now at 80% of pre-pandemic levels in its announcement on Wednesday, but the dip in ridership since the pandemic has resulted in severe revenue shortages, and federal funds used to shore up the difference will be exhausted in the coming year. The COVID pandemic exacerbated the agency's structural funding deficit that has existed since NJ Transit was created more than 40 years ago, the agency said in a release. NJ Transit said it has faced financial challenges resulting from increased fuel and material costs due to inflation, thanks Joe Biden, higher wage costs under union contracts, and rising healthcare costs. It said it undertook a series of cost reductions and revenue enhancements, such as implementing 30-day expiration dates on all one-way tickets, but those were not enough to close the budget gap. Oh, so now there's going to be a 30-day expiration date on all one-way tickets, so they did that. Man, that's even worse than the MTA. The agency said the fare hikes would close the remaining $106.6 million gap for the coming fiscal year while avoiding service cutbacks. So I'm sick of hearing about this. The rich keep getting richer, and yet people with transit are always asked to pay more. It's the same thing in New Jersey as in New York. Maybe even worse. In a statement on Wednesday, State Senate President Nick Scutari said continual fare increases would not fix NJ Transit's budget problems. We simply cannot rely on everyday commuters to carry the burden of NJ Transit's billion-dollar deficit, nor should we count on one-shot funding mechanisms to fill the hole. NJ Transit said it would hold a series of meetings allowing for the public to comment in the first week of March at 10 locations around the state before the plan goes to its board of directors for a vote. State Senate Assembly Speaker Craig Conklin said in a statement on Wednesday that the legislature would continue to explore options to help support transportation in the state. Before making a final decision, I urge the agency's board to consider the impact higher fares will have on bus and train passengers who rely on NJ Transit service. I commend the agency for considering non-fare box savings and revenue enhancements to help close the budget gap. And of course, that's all there is to the article. There's a whole additional part of that article that was left out in this edited version, but I will read to you the additional part of it. So it says here, NJ Transit officials have cited increased costs, including $30 million for NJ Transit takeover or expanding service to cover the routes that were abandoned by 3 private carriers in 2023. Coach USA, One Bus, DeCamp, and ANC, which discontinued commuter bus service and hiring 2,300 bus drivers to meet demand. The plan assumes the agency will not receive additional funds in the state budget from the $142 million received from the state in the current budget, NJ Transit officials said. At a time when most people are struggling to make ends meet and when service is so unreliable with breakdowns and service suspensions, the fact that NJ Transit is considering raising fares by 15% is absolutely ridiculous, said Charlton D'Souza, president of Passengers United. We urge Governor Murphy and the state legislature to reconsider this horrible decision. One legislative leader called on NJ Transit to pause the plan. Before making a final decision, I urge the agency's board to consider the impact. All right, we already read that already. I commend. So this is what's going on, all right? It's absolutely ridiculous. This is all over the news. And, I knew that there was a fare hike coming for New Jersey Transit. I knew that there was, all right? I knew it was coming. But 15% is absolutely ridiculous and absolutely ridiculous. And let's see if Governor Phil Murphy has even commented on this. We've got a couple of videos here, so let's see. We've got a couple here, so let's see. NJ Transit proposes fifth. Let's go to the CBS News one, I guess. Raising fares by 15% starting in July here. So this is from CBS News here. And, of course, we got to go through this freaking commercial here. I don't really need to watch the video, but hopefully that is not playing audio over here. Okay, it's not. So it says, it's nothing more than a tax on riders. And it really is. It really is. It really is. It really is. And, it's obvious that there is a budget shortfall. And like I said, there was a very good article on NJ.com that we can't read. I'll put the link below. If you are subscribed to it, you can read it, but it's subscribers only. It's absolutely, utterly ridiculous, and Phil Murphy should not have allowed it to get to this point. I really don't understand why he is deciding to be like this. But it seems that's what happens with all the politicians in the United States. They just don't care. They just don't care about the common person. I thought Phil Murphy cared about the common person, but I think I might be wrong about that. Proposes 15% fare hikes, and this is the New York Post article as MTA chair taunts Governor Phil Murphy for the budget hole. It's unbelievable. Janno Lieber roasted Phil Murphy on Wednesday, taking a dig at the most vocal critics of the planned congestion pricing toll. So Phil Murphy said he was going to fix New Jersey Transit if it kills him. Lieber told New York state lawmakers during a budget hearing in Albany. I'm not sure. He's not dying, and I'm not even sure if he's trying. So that's the quote from Janno Lieber there. So it is disappointing that a governor that had prided himself on Al Gore's endorsement has left New Jersey Transit unfunded for the reasons we don't fully understand. NJ Transit also plans to axe its pandemic-era discount program called FlexPass that provides 20% discount on purchases of packs of 20 train tickets as it seeks to fill the budget hole. So they're getting rid of something similar to the Long Island Railroad had. It's absolutely ridiculous. So there's New Jersey has failed to properly fund transit in the state. There's this picture right there. You have failed to properly fund transit, Mr. Murphy. I'm ashamed. You really let me down. I cannot believe that Phil Murphy has decided to. I just can't believe it. I'm hoping he fixes this. Because if he doesn't, it's going to be shameful. And here's Mr. Fulop here. Now, this is the man who's running for governor. All right? I'm going to be the first to comment on this because I know front office is preparing it. There is a major problem with transit policy in NJ overall, and it is unacceptable that for NJ Transit to push a large fare increase on regular residents within months of a massive tax break on the largest corporations. It is just wrong. Despite the rhetoric of a fairer NJ, this is clearly the opposite and only undermines trust. So at least Stephen Fulop seems to get it. All right. But Phil Murphy, I don't understand what's going on with Phil Murphy lately. Was he just down with Wall Street now all of a sudden? He wants to just be down with Wall Street? Is that the deal? I mean, what are you're in competition with Kathy Hochul and how much you can screw people? I mean, it's unbelievable. The MTA doesn't look so bad now. It really doesn't. 15% fare hike. For the overcrowding on the 319 that we constantly see time and time again. They don't need enough buses. For that. It's ridiculous. On breakdowns, well, yeah, I once had a New Jersey Transit breakdown. You remember this? It was ages ago, but yeah, this bus broke down on the. I know these buses were not reliable. These were the MCA. These were with the Caterpillar engines in them. All right, but I remember this breakdown. I remember it happening. Let me not forget that. The incident that happened even before that on New Jersey Transit, where the bus was pulled over for speeding on the Driscoll Bridge, and the bus driver didn't have his license with him, so they had to take the bus out of service and bring another bus. So yeah, while NJ Transit has not broken down. Now, when it has failed catastrophically, and usually beaten nice bus on how crazy it can absolutely get. All right, so it kind of makes me glad I'm still in New York, and this is why another reason why moving to New Jersey is not nearly the answer, because you know what, the same problems transit funding can happen in any state. They can happen in any state at all. I'll credit Suffolk County Transit. They haven't raised fares. They haven't raised fares. I don't know why this isn't loading, but they haven't raised fares. So, Suffolk County Transit has not raised fares. I was going to load a Suffolk County Transit bus, but for whatever reason, it doesn't want to load. Let's try it. My internet might decide, it might just feel like being down again. But anyway, so it seems like my internet has decided to go out to lunch here. So that means I may not be able to read any other articles here. Let's see. But it's absolutely ridiculous that New Jersey's proposing raising fares. It's unconscionable. It really is unconscionable that they would do this. So we will play a video here. Let's see if we can. They're just talking about the bull on the tracks. What? Oh, that's pathetic. Let's go to News 12, New Jersey. I'll play one video for you. We'll leave it at News 12 here. So let's see. And there's been some crime going on in the state, too, as well. So here we go. We're going to play this video for you here from News 12, New Jersey.
First, a major transit alert, as New Jersey commuters will likely soon have to dig much deeper into their pockets. New Jersey Transit proposing a fare increase. The change is just months away. News 12 New Jersey's Naomi Yane joins us from Newark Penn Station, breaking down just how much it could cost commuters.
It surely isn't welcome news for commuters. Plus, I was the bearer of bad news because many of them hadn't heard that Jersey Transit was proposing a 15% fare hike to close a budget gap. This proposed fare hike is set to take effect July 1st system-wide, and Jersey Transit says they've improved the customer experience over the last 5 years and want to continue to do so. They say the pandemic exacerbated the agency's finances. Ridership has returned to about 80% of what it was before the pandemic,
319
but
is worse than
numbers are
ever.
still low compared to pre-pandemic numbers. The increase is aimed at making up for a reduction of nearly $2 billion in fare revenue. Commuters we talked to said the price for transportation is already too high.
It's already kind of expensive to travel, so, that would stink.
So what are you going to do about it?
I can't really do too much about it. I rely on the train to get here, so there's nothing I can really do.
It already is expensive. And you know what? We're getting hammered with congestion pricing. It's just another tax, right? The government's trying to tax you more than they already are. Just trying to sneak it under the table. That's it.
Now, this would be the first fare hike for Jersey Transit in nearly 9 years. All this happening while commuters are also facing possible congestion pricing.
Right at the same time.
For both happening in the coming weeks. In Newark,
our governor's filing a lawsuit to stop congestion pricing. So you're protecting the motorists, but you're not protecting people who take transit, Phil Murphy. So I'm going to end it like this, and hopefully he does something. But if he doesn't do anything, I think it's shameful. And if he doesn't do anything and allows this fare hike to go through, honestly, I hope the lawsuit gets dismissed against congestion pricing because he's full of it. Really, I'm sick of this. We have a climate crisis, Governor. We need to get people out of their cars and onto transit, all right? And yet you're punishing people on public transportation because you don't want to fund it. Meanwhile, you're giving all these big corporations a tax break. I'm very disappointed in you, Phil Murphy. I really am. That's all I got to say. And I'm glad I live in New York. This is exactly why I don't want to. One more reason I guess I can put on the list where I don't want to wind up living in New Jersey. Now there's another one. That's it.